When I was a child, I was a very severe asthmatic. I spent most of my childhood years taking medications. For instance, I took bronchodilators, antihistamines, I took steroids, I took antibiotics, I was on allergy shots for years. With all of these things in place, I still had asthma. The conclusion became to avoid all the triggers of the asthma. What my doctor suggested was I not be around the things I was allergic to. I was allergic to many things outside: trees, grasses, animals. He suggested I didn't go outside and play and run during the fall or the spring when all my friends were out, because it would trigger asthma attacks. As a result, I spent a lot of time in the emergency room. It wasn't unusual for me to be in the emergency room 2 or 3 times a month, even with the medications that I took. Now, I don't want you to believe that the medications were all bad. However, it never changed the fact that I was asthmatic. My life changed when I was 14 years old. My mom found a chiropractor that did functional health care. And little did I know that you could actually change the root cause of the health problem. So I went to see this doctor at the age of 14. And after sitting down with her for a short amount of time, she decided she could help me. And I said, look, I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad you think you can help me. But the reality is I've been to every expert that we could possibly find, and the solution has never presented itself. I still continue to be asthmatic. So she proceeded to put up an x-ray of my spine. And in that x-ray, I had a curve that looked about like that between my shoulder blades. Obviously, you might think that that should be straight. It should be. And I got the same idea that there must be a problem with the spine, but I didn't understand how it could possibly affect my lungs. As she explained to me, we pick these curves up as a result of injuries and traumas throughout life. Falls, accidents, sports injuries, repetitive motion injuries, bad postural habits, I should say. But as a result of the misalignment, the nerves themselves in the spine can become slightly impinged. These nerves are very, very delicate. If you could actually take a dime and rest a dime on one of these nerves, that'd be significant enough to block 60% or more of the signal from that nerve going to the body. This, of course, made sense to me. However, it still didn't relate to the asthma. When we reference back to a chart like this, that curve existed in my spine right here, just between the shoulder blades. If you look at where these nerves transition, they actually go to the lungs. As a result, it was causing me to have continual asthma. When we started treating this, the asthma started to change very quickly. In fact, within 4 months' time, as we worked to correct the curvature, I was off all my medications that I'd spent my entire life on. You can imagine, it changed my life. By getting off the medications and being able to breathe, I could suddenly play sports. I got to play football. Always wanted to play. I got to play baseball. I played soccer. I wrestled. And just as significant, I got to spend an incredible amount of time with my dad, who was an outdoorsman. Loved to hunt and fish. Completely impossible before. We knew that if I would spend a day out at the lake with him fishing, I'd spend that night in the emergency room. As a result of changing the way my body functioned, I was actually able to experience those things with my father. This was an incredible change in my life. It wasn't long before I looked back and realized that there was a difference between the way we treated it before and how we treated it at that point. And I can't say that it was the wrong thing to do to be on those medications, because without them, I'm sure there could have been catastrophic results. However, it never changed the operating basis of my body, and I still continue to suffer with asthma. When we got to that root cause, things changed. Now imagine, in your own situation in your life, if you could get to the root cause of why you're suffering with the symptoms you are, there's a chance you could cease taking medications, you could get back to doing the things you love to do, you could take charge of your life. Wouldn't that be an absolute miracle.